say hey, hey. Bow, down, down. What you got to say? What's up, y'all? I am Arby Alistair, author of Blue Lights, Black Lights, A Little Broken, and other things I'm constantly writing. About to get back into writing after recording this video, because things have to get done. Currently, I'm doing a challenge as a part of 75 Hard, in which I make a video every day for 75 days. Today is day 27. Look at me being consistent with something. That's the whole point of the challenge. But today is day 27. And today's question is, what makes for a good sequel? Boy, do I have. All right. So what makes for a good sequel? I was just thinking about that today. I saw the trailer for Practical Magic 2. And I love me some Practical Magic. Like that's your blood, my blood, our blood. That's some stuff right there. So, and I have hope for that being a pretty decent sequel because it addresses something in the original that did not necessarily need to be corrected, but impacts people. And I think what makes for a good sequel is for each part to feel like a complete story, you know? Like you're adding to what was already planted without taking away from it. And also, you're not ignoring the things that had happened in the first book. Like, again, I just seen the trailer for the Practical Magic movie. But, and for those who don't know, because I feel like Practical Magic is like kind of niche. I don't know. I grew up watching like that and like The Craft, and my sister loves Charmed. I'm okay with Charmed, but like all those like witchy things. But um, it's about these two sisters who are witches, and one of which, well, the family is cursed. Get that out of here. The family is cursed. Any man that falls in love with a woman in their family is cursed to die. And this curse is passed down from generation to generation and is happened to one of the sisters in the first Practical Magic, where she fell in love with someone and they died. And this is like continuing with that, because the one sister who experienced this trauma doesn't really want to use magic and is entirely, again, traumatized by like these events. So she doesn't really believe in love. She doesn't practice magic that often. She's kind of afraid of her power. And this is channeling into the second movie. So I think a good sequel, again, adds to the story without taking away from the story, and channels what happened in the original, without ignoring it. Like when, after I wrote Blue Lights, again, I'm a spoil. Like, if you gonna read it, you gonna read it. If you not, you not. But in Blue Lights, one of the characters straight up like just murders somebody. And although they get away with it, you as a human being don't get to live with that without some type of repercussion, some type of recoil that happens. So when writing Black Lights, the sequel to Blue Lights, although the main story of Blue Lights had nothing to do with the murder that happened in the first book, and like life consequences, well, like physical consequences from that murder don't really emerge back. They can, the possibility happens, but don't really emerge back into the sequel. However, the personal consequences of what happened does show throughout when it comes to the person who did the crime, because you don't just get to do that, experience that, and not have it coming up again and again, not only just for the person who experienced that, but for the people around him who knows and are moving on and living life as though it never happened. So are just these moments that show like just the effects of that, the nightmares, the dependency that he has on his now boyfriend, but like for comfort, the lack of trust that he has in different environments with different people. And these are all after effects of like the trauma that he like experienced before. So all of that didn't just disappear. And although this story for the second book does not focus on that, you still see the lingering shadows of it. Because realistically speaking, it will still be there, right? Like you're not going to get over that in a couple of months. As I was saying before in another video, healing is not linear. There are always going to be like little things, little back steps, which is perfectly okay. As long as it's not like entirely resetting the character. I'm trying to think of like the very rare occasions when I feel like a sequel was better than the original. When, oh my goodness, I haven't read the Hunger Games series in so long. Like, I feel like I should go back and read like the original Hunger Games trilogies. I read the new books as they've been coming out. But the Hunger Games was probably the first time when I read a book and then read the sequel. And then was like, the sequel is better than the original. But what was it? What was it about the second book? And I think what it was about the second book was the matter of we took away the initial like fear and panic of just the main character Katniss, and we got to revisit everything that she went through with a new perspective. We got to see the big picture now. Like the Hunger Games was us going through the district, going through the capital with blinders on. We were focused on Katniss, on her family, on her surviving, on her and Peeta surviving. We only focused on what was directly in front of us. But Catching Fire took those blinders off. And we got the chance to view the district Panem, the the capital, in a new light, where we got to see the full effects of everything that's going on and all the snakes that are about, and serpents and songbirds. Um, and again, with it, it's adding to the story. It's not taking anything away, but it's adding to the story without deteriorating from the original. I'm trying to think of any like bad examples of sequels, but I'm like such a person who will erase bad memories from my life. If it was a book, I would have stopped reading it. Like I wasn't a big fan of the Fallen series, but that was because I felt like the characters weren't really growing and they kept on making the same kind of stupid mistakes over and over again. So I stopped reading those. Ooh, I don't think I have a book example, but what call it? Movies. Hmm. I know that definitely seen some movies that had like bad sequels. I can't think of any right now. Sorry, Ice Cube. Not that you ever watched this, but what's it called? Are we there yet? And are we done yet? And I heard that they're making more, but are we there yet? Versus are we done yet? I feel like Are We Done Yet was not that great of a sequel because it was taking away from the original. Like there was a lot of growth that happened when it came to like the relationships of characters in the first movie, Are We There Yet? That decimated in the second book. Not book, movie. In the second movie. And this like loss of trust and just like pretty much loss of trust because not and no one trusted anyone. There was a lot of secrets going on, a lot of people moving quietly. Uh, the boy was going through some lessons in the first book about manning up, and then not book, still movie. In the first movie about manning up, and then in the second movie he's still learning lessons about manning up. Like I felt like a lot of the things that happened character wise in the first movie just got backtracked, and we're doing the same things when it comes to these characters and the relationships developing all over again. So we didn't add on to what was already established. We just kind of repeated what we did. And there's other movies that do that too, where it's just like, oh, we're just going to take the same concept and then just put them in a new environment and do the exact same thing all over again. Like, I think Avatar, the blue people, Avatar 2 was great. Avatar 3, I feel like I was just watching Avatar 2 again, but with fire. Like, you're just taking the same concept and doing it over again in a new location. And I feel like that happens sometimes. It feels like the fan fiction effect. When people Most of the time when people write fan fiction, what they'll do is they'll like take the same storylines that already exist in the story, they'll plop in a new character and they'll just go. And when you have sequels like that just repeat the same thing as the original without giving us any new insight, like I said, the with Hunger Games, the second one gave us new insight on what this world looks like. Yes, we were repeating the games again, but this was all new. The way that the games were working, the kind of people that was around, and the system and the way that we played the games was entirely new. We're giving a new perspective on this with new goals and new judgment in mind versus us just repeating the same thing over and over again. And I feel like the Hunger Games actually is really good at that because, like, sorry, someone's blasting gospel outside. Are you here for me? No. Okay, my neighbors. And now they're shouting. Anyways, I think the Hunger Games is really good at this because in every, not every, but like, there's always a Hunger Games, right? Except for in the last book of the original series. But other than that, there's always a Hunger Games. But each time we entered the Hunger Games, we entered the Hunger Games with something new in mind. Like, you can't really compare the experiences of each tribute going in because they're different. The arena is different, the environment is different, the people are different, their goals are different. Sorry, I'm thinking about Hamige's Hunger Games, and I'm just like, Oi, that hurt. That hurts so bad. Um, so yeah, I can stop rambling. A good sequel adds to the story without diminishing what happens in the first story and without repeating the exact same thing while changing just like one element. Don't when when writing, just try not to waste people's time. Give them something that helps to grow the story, grow the characters. And if it's not doing that, then maybe you need to make some adjustments. I do think that Black Lights is a good sequel to Blue Lights because Black Lights challenges the characters in ways that they haven't been challenged before. And you get to see them grow through these difficulties and address the things that were once normal for them in the past that are different now. So you see that growth, you see them going through these new things, you see this new environment for them. And I think that makes it worth it for a series to continue. Because with the Blue Light series is definitely like character driven. There's plot. There is always going to be plot, but it's definitely character driven. And with it being character driven, what you are getting is you are getting the experience of actually witnessing two characters who start off as two teenage black boys who want to remain young and youthful for as long as possible while facing a world that's trying to age black boys rapidly, and watching them grow from that into young men whilst actually hitting these markers that helps them grow into these more functioning, more emotionally mature adults. Like you've seen the process of them grow. And I feel like you don't get a lot of that like actual breakdown of how this change occurs. You just see them when they're young, then you see them when they're older. A lot of the times there are like I won't say that there's a lot of books that cover the growth that deeply because it's something that will be handled in like one book when it's like a book that is specifically about character growth. Or as I was talking about in the last video, I talked briefly about there is a like worldly crisis happening that forces them to grow up faster, and the main focus is not on them developing as characters but them saving the world. But again, why are we always relying on a 16, 17-year old to save the world? It's not their job. It shouldn't be their job. Anyhow, dang, that is a stand I'm strong on, because even when I do have a book with superpowered teenagers. I do. It exists. Are they saving the world? Absolutely not. They are saving themselves from people who are trying to use them and keeping their identity and their abilities as secretive as possible so they do not turn into the missiles of the world. They like them, no, I don't want any part in anything. I am helping myself. I am helping my closest people. That is it. That is all. I want to be all the way under the radar. No. To the point that when people start finding out about them, their biggest thing is just like, how do we get them to shut up and stop talking about this and make them all believe this is not real? You see nothing. We are not here. But yeah, I can end this here. Let me stop talking. I'm sorry for wasting your time. Good sequels add to the story without taking away and does not ignore the development that happened in book one. That is all. Goodbye.